our sacred community. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome. I have the absolute pleasure of hosting Shining Light on our community with the beautiful Natalia Murua. Can you introduce yourself for us and tell us what you do?
Definitely. Thank you, Gretchen. Thank you. And thank you for having me here. And I am a love coach. I am a dating and relationships expert, and I specialize on the best of Western and Eastern techniques and approaches to love, dating, relationships.
Well, welcome and thank you for being with us. I really appreciate it. How did you get into the business of love and relationships?
It was a little bit interesting because I wasn't really intending to be in this area, to do my coaching in this area of love, dating, and relationships. I was actually coaching women on peak performance. And over time, what I started to notice, it was that it didn't matter why these women were hiring me for, if it was to improve their business or to improve their health, their life overall. After a few sessions, they will say something like, okay, Natalia, you know what? I think what I really, really want to work is on finding my soulmate or fixing my relationship. For some reason, it was always ending in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
So I am a good listener. I listened and I said, okay, I am going to start helping women in that area. I had done it in the past. Before, a few years ago, I started as a dating and relationships coach. So I was familiar with that and I loved it. I loved it. My relationships back in the day, until I did the work, until I hired coaches and went deep for a couple of years in my own understanding of who I was and what relationships were to me, what love was, what being a woman meant. After I did all that, I realized how important it is for women to feel loved, to feel cherished, to feel adored by a guy, and how we can blossom if we have that at home. How that can create the terrain, the fertile terrain, having a great relationship with a great guy for us can create the fertile terrain for us to go and build an empire or do what we really love to do and come back home and have that place that is our sanctuary where we feel like we can relax and we are loved and we are seen. It's a beautiful life to live when we have love. I believe that love is all. I believe we are love. And as women, most of us, if we don't have that, we do crave it. Even if we deny it, like all these women I was working with, they were overachievers, working, creating businesses. But when they really, really got real with themselves, that was what they thought it was going to make the biggest difference in their fulfillment, in their happiness, in all areas of their lives.
Why do you think it is that love is such a struggle for women?
Well, I don't believe it's a struggle for every woman.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there are some women that have had good role models. They have had good guidance when they were younger. They have had good, good guys. They attracted good guys that helped them to create a relationship that is healthy and fulfilling. So it's not for everybody. There are some women that are good at relationships. Now, the kind of women that I work with, most of them are me 20, 30 years ago.
Right.
Are women that didn't grow up in an environment where there was a conversation about relationships. They didn't have good role models at home. They didn't have a mother that was strong and a go-getter and, you know, like goal-oriented and all that. And at the same time at home, nurturing and caring and receiving and gracious and more patient, more embodying more of the feminine qualities. So there is that. There is also a lot of trauma that we go through as children when we are so underdeveloped physically, our brain is underdeveloped, so we cannot process what the events that are happening around us in a realistic way.
Right.
So a lot of us have had parents getting divorced, or we have had some sort of abuse or bullying at school, or any kind of negative training.
Right.
That affects us also, because if when we were 6 years old, we had an event, let's say, how these things get created are through repetition or through a traumatic event. So if we repeatedly at home, let's say our mom, to give an example, was working 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, and she was exhausted all the time. And so she didn't have the capability or the energy, or maybe she didn't have good role models either to model for us what a loving relationship is.
Right.
We, on our immature mind, we think that that is it, and that it is our fault. Usually we take everything personally. So there is that is something that happens every day. So every day we see the same thing going over and over and over, and there is a day where we leave the house, but we have internalized our parents inside our psychic structure, so we don't need more, but we carry them, and unless we do something about it, if our past will keep creating our future. So we keep recreating that. So there is that. And the other way is through blunt trauma, something that could be very serious, like some horrible things that happen, like, you know, physical abuse, sexual abuse, you know, some very, very horrible things that shouldn't be happening to kids. Or it could be something not as, and this is very interesting because it doesn't have to be huge. It can be a very small thing, like a teacher telling us, you are a horrible child, you will never get loved. And but again, at the time of our development, we take it at heart.
Sure.
So that can also. And then the third thing that happens is culture. Culture has a huge, it's a very, very important component in the making of who we are as women. So the idea of a woman here in the United States is not the same. Right now, for example, I am a fanatic of soccer. I am Argentinian I was born in Argentina. I live in the States, but I was born in Argentina, so we're huge on soccer. And right now the World Cup is happening, and happening in Qatar, in the Emirates, in Dubai area. So in that area of the world, what a woman is and how a woman is seen and how she's treated and what she deserves and doesn't deserve, it's completely different than what a woman is here in the
That's
States
right.
or in Australia or even in Argentina. Actually, one of the things that I loved when I moved here 20 years ago was that women in the States, they take a stand, they're strong. And I love that. I was like, yes, this is my place. You know, we have a voice here.
Right.
So that also has a lot to do of why we struggle with relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Because culturally, we are here in the United States, for example, it's a melting pot of different cultures. My husband is American, born and raised in the United States. My ex-husband is French, born and raised in France. And the boyfriend that I had before that was an Argentinian guy, born and raised in Argentina. So there is a give and take. There is a very special dance that has to happen when you are with somebody that doesn't share your culture,
Sure.
your beliefs. You didn't grow up listening to the same music, watching the same movies. So that can add to the struggle. And
Right.
then the last thing is just playing out what I call TV entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
I will say 8, I'm going to be good. 8 out of 10 movies or sitcom or show is just showing us the wrong way to do it. It's
Yeah.
just showing that we meet somebody, we fall in love, and that's it.
Yeah.
And actually, that's what some women think that love is.
Mm-hmm.
Is that intense feeling of attraction. And I am not sure how much I am allowed to talk about sex. I don't talk about sex a lot, but can I bring it up a second?
Of course you can. Yes.
So they confused sex with connection.
Mm-hmm.
They confuse sex with love. So the parameter right now that we are having for younger women is how attracted I am to the guy,
Right.
how hot I am for the guy. And that is one of many of the parameters that we should have.
Mm-hmm.
But the focus is hugely on that, how hot he is, how good is he going to look next to me on the picture on Instagram.
Right. Very
It's
true.
the new challenges that we are having right now.
Yeah.
So, and
Well,
that is
I grew up in an era where we had Walt Disney's movies and the man always saved the woman. And that was what we were all led to believe, that some guy is come riding into your life. He's going to save you and whisk you away and it will be love forever. And we all know that that is not even close to what the truth is. But you walk around with that image of a man coming in to save you from whatever it is that's going on in your life. And it really distorts the way you pick partners.
absolutely, you're so right, Rachel. And I will add, I call that that we have an idealized man.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that we have to let go. If we want
Yeah.
to be able to be in a relationship with an amazing human being that
Right.
is comfort, and for sure he's not going to save us. I
Yeah.
can tell you that was my thing. I mean, that was my thing. I thought somebody
Mhm.
was going to come and save me
Yeah.
until, I was in my early 30s when I did my work in relationships and love, when I had to be real and swallow that pill and get what completely transformed my relationship with men, with me, with life. What completely transformed my life
Mm-hmm.
was the day that I woke up and I realized that it's my responsibility,
Right. Yeah.
my responsibility to
See, I
create.
noticed that, yeah, I noticed now that a lot of the relationships people talk, uh, often men say, well, it's important that I'm still the major breadwinner, even if my wife has a job. And I'm thinking, but if she's making more money than you, does that mean you can't have a relationship? with that person? Is it so important to a man's well-being that his wife continues to make less than he does? And that is something that is talked about both by men and by women. Does that make it harder for people to have relationships, or it's just an understanding that they have to come to?
Well, I don't see it my way of working. I don't really see it like that, because that has a lot to do with an outdated way of relating.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, good. So it has a lot to do with what I call the role.
Yeah.
Men had a role, cooking, having sex, giving him sex, keeping the kids clean, smelling good, keeping the house clean.
Right.
And the men had their role of providing and providing money and all that.
Right.
And it was a happy, I think it was a happy agreement back in the day, because they didn't know anything better. But as women, we have evolved. So the way the issue that most of my clients have right now is not that they cannot touch a man, as per se it in a way, or get a man. They can. They're gorgeous. Oh my goodness. They're beautiful, smart, all that. But they want a relationship that satisfies higher needs than the survival only.
Right.
So they're not okay with only food, shelter, and sex for the sake of reproduction.
Right.
We are evolving. So we have higher needs now. We have a spirituality. We need connection. We want intimacy. We want to be seen. We want to be heard. We want to be adored. So the way I see it is, it's all about energies. So we have to, can I go a little bit back to some context? So the way I see it is, what is attraction? Okay, attraction in my line of work, the way I coach, it's a feeling.
Okay.
It's a feeling. And how we create that feeling is through two opposites that attracts. It's like magnets. So we have a negative and a positive. We have the masculine and the feminine energy. We are not talking about biology here. Could be two women, could be two men, could be a woman and a man. But what we are focusing here is in the energy. So we have, for a relationship to work, for a romantic relationship to work, there has to be two energies. We have the feminine energy and the masculine energy, so they attract. And what happens is that only one member in the relationship can be the masculine, and only one member can be the feminine. If they're both feminine, they will repel each other. If they're both masculine, they will repel each other. There is not going to be attraction. So the question is, as a woman, I work with women only. So everything I said goes for men too, but I'm always going to be talking about women because that's who I work with. So the question for my clients is, who do I want to be in the relationship? Do I want to be the one wearing the pants all the time? Having to do all the thinking, all the deciding, all the planning, all the directing, all the bossing? Do I want to be that energy? 100% of my clients says no. They want a masculine man. They want a man that has strong energy, that is assertive, that can create things, that has that energy. So, okay. So there we have, you have to choose that. You have to choose for the relationship to work, to be the feminine energy. If you want to be with a masculine man. Now, if for any reason you want to be with a man that is going to be doing all the feeling, all the talking, all the sharing, all the waiting, all the receiving, you for sure can be the masculine energy, and there are couples that are like that, and it works, because as long as there are two different energies, it will work.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 99% women want to be the feminine energy. So when we see it under this paradigm, it's not about who makes more money or who works more. It's about being. It's not about doing. It's not about having anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see that, the difference?
I can, but then I have to think, okay, so can you not be in a relationship where you actually trade off on energies according to what your capabilities are? Like if the feminine person is a great planner and organizer and the man is a great earner, like can't they both share different aspects of the feminine and masculine energies? Or do they have to strictly stay in those roles?
I see. What I am hearing is, but Natalia, I am way better than him at planning.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, he sucks at planning. So why I will let him do all the planning if I am better than him?
Yeah.
You have to. When we let go of that need to control him, he will step up to the plate. It's when we mother the guy, when we tell him what to do, when we are on top of him, we don't allow him to be himself. He will step up to the plate. And if he doesn't, then it's a different conversation. The question is why I am with a guy that I don't trust and I don't respect. What is making me choose to be in a relationship with a guy that I don't trust and I don't respect his decision making?
Mm-hmm.
You see?
So you're saying that you can't in a relationship share the responsibilities of a household or parenting or organizing trips or doing budgets or something like that. One person has to be in charge of all of that.
Ideally,
Mm-hmm.
the masculine energy is the one taking care of all those things.
That's interesting.
And it's about of letting go of control and trusting. For example, you will say, what about money? That's a question I get a lot. What about money? Well, most women are afraid that if they put the finances of the house on the hands of the men, they are not going to have money to spend on whatever they want to spend the money on. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them, you give it a try, you let go of control, you express to him what you need and what you want, so he knows. It's not like you will end up going to Italy every year if you don't want to go to Italy. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's about putting the masculine energy on the partner that wants that part, that feels good with the masculine energy, and then stepping back and letting him know what you want and what your needs are. So if he's in charge of the finances, you will say, I want money for, I don't know, I want money for my Zumba class. I want money for my weekly dinner with my girlfriends. And I want money for my manicures. Or I don't know, I want money for my clothing. Or so you come up with a budget for that, and you have your money to spend, and you don't have to worry about the money. He is the one worrying about the money. And you take care of the things that you like and feel good about taking care. So you can create a life for you at home when you can relax and you can be feminine. Because according to how we are, we also create different hormones. So if we are always in control, we are not even allowing our body to create enough estrogen. We are on testosterone all the time. So it's a very long conversation. My program is 12 weeks and it's super intensive. So we meet once a week. Then I send them training videos. So this is something that a lot of women resist at the beginning. But once they get the hang of it, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
But aren't you asking us to step back and be 1950 housewives again, or be in a submissive role in a relationship?
Yes, no, that I get all the time. If I am anti-feminist and oh my God, you have
No, I'm
no
not
idea.
saying you're. I'm not saying you're
No, I'm
anti-feminist
not
at
saying you
all.
are, but you know, I get it. I get it. I get it. I have got women getting upset with me because they think why I don't coach men, that men are the one. I have been through a lot of different you know, what ifs, buts, and I completely understand it. I completely understand it. It's a bigger issue than what is in front of us. So no, it's not that at all. It's actually giving us the power to have an amazing life. It's about being in a model that works with us, because that's how we are. So to give you a little bit of context, you know, you mentioned the 50s, the 40s. So as I said before, women, we have evolved and we are evolving. So when we were like my grandmother or my great-grandmother, you know, 30s, 40s, 50s, they were at home, they weren't working, they couldn't even vote, you know, the whole thing, okay? Yep. And the husband will come home and they will have sex, like it or not, they will have to have the food and all the Shabbat. So little by little, mostly because we were pushed through that war, but little by little, we started to get out of the house and work, okay? And that's how we started to get more powerful and on outside of the house. Now, what happened is that we started to work in a system that was made by men for men. Completely, 100%. And because we are so amazing, we are so smart and we adapt and we are extraordinary women, we made it work. We made it work. But how many movies there are out there showing women in corporate jobs being what here we call bitches, like angry and bossy, aggressive, overly aggressive. And why is that? It's because we got an opportunity to get on the workforce and to vote and to get the same, or I mean, almost the same benefits that men did, but it was in a system that was created by men for men. So it's a masculine system, and it doesn't serve us. It doesn't serve us. There are an unbelievable amount of women that are being extremely successful at being a brain surgeon there was this woman, she was a brain surgeon, and she was working at the hospital non-stop. And she had the phone. She had to answer the phone because she would sleep at the hospital, had a locker with her clothing and her food, and she wouldn't stop. Going through medical school is already super, super demanding. Going through the residency, and she was super strong. And one day she had enough and she didn't answer the phone. And she got fired and she lost her license. Because it's a system that doesn't belong to us. So now more and more and more women are starting to work to create work environments with the feminine energy.
Mm-hmm.
And in relationships, in romantic relationships with a man, if we want to be adored and cherished and really, really be appreciated and seen, we benefit tremendously from having this approach. A man doesn't want to go back home and be with another man dressed up with high heels and a dress. He doesn't.
I agree with that, but a woman doesn't want to go home and have to clean the whole house and look after the kids and organize their entire day as well as her own without any help from her partner either. There has to be a balance between the two.
Yes, and there are ways to be creative about those things. Something that women do, and a big mistake we make, and I used to make it until I saw it, is we go from black to white.
Explain that, please.
And unfortunately, when we operate in that binary mindset, we are missing being creative and coming up with creative solutions. We are incredibly resourceful. Incredibly resourceful. So there you go. What are the trade-offs? So I am home and I don't want to do all the cleaning. Perfect. So what could be the possible creative solutions to this problem that I am having? We could hire somebody to do the cleaning. That's a solution.
For the majority of people, that's not a solution, no?
For a part of people, yeah, it's not. You can come up with another creative solution. You can tell him, I won't help. I feel overwhelmed. I won't help with the cleaning. And that is being feminine, is being vulnerable and open. You are expressing how you feel, and he's going to want to help you. And if he does, I see your eyes going like that. If he doesn't want to help you, if he's not a supportive partner, the question is not the model. The question is, what are you doing with a man that is not what you want?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question.
Okay. Interesting viewpoint. I mean, I worked as a nurse, I was working 12-hour shifts. I still organized all the kids' stuff, all the groceries, cleaned the house. I was exhausted all the time. My husband was never around. I loved him dearly, but other than taking the kids to his parents on the weekends, it was up to me to make sure everything was done.
Why was the father not around?
He was working a full-time job plus a part-time job,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
And that's the situation for a lot of women. As much as you care about the person that you're with, you know, when you have bills to pay and kids to raise and you're both working, you have to sacrifice something along the way.
yeah. Or the women I work with, they're young, or
Mhm.
you can plan it. And you can plan how many kids can you afford? Where can you afford to live? Can you afford to have kids?
Mhm.
And if your desire is to really have 3 kids and you know he cannot give you that lifestyle, you can choose another man.
Hmm. Well, those are
So
kind of extreme choices to be making. If you know you want children and the man you're with want children, then you have to adjust for everything else around that, don't you?
it's all about choices. It's all
Mhm.
about taking ownership for what you want
Okay.
and knowing that you deserve it and having a tremendous faith and courage, having an unbreakable faith and courage
Mhm.
that it's going to work for you,
Right.
that it is going to work for you, because it is. Now, it's work. It's a lot of work. I'm not going
Yeah.
to lie to you. I spent 5 years doing this work.
Mhm.
It's not easy. It's not easy to have a great life. It's not
Right.
something that it comes to you. It's extremely hard.
Right.
That's why most people have a shitty life. Not because they are not capable or because they are whatever,
Mhm.
but it's hard. And it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to go to the supermarket and walk right next to the cupcakes and grab the apples instead of grabbing the cupcakes. Hell, it does.
Yeah.
But it's our responsibility. It's our life. It's our only life. And we can do it with the right guidance. I have had clients hiring me devastated. Literally, they couldn't do any other thing during the first 8 sessions than cry. And between sobbing, trying to solve, but they had courage
Mhm.
to be who they were choosing to be in order to have the life they wanted to have.
Right. Okay. Well, you're only working with the women, so how does this information translate into a relationship with a man if he doesn't know any of this?
The man doesn't have to know. Let's say if she's married, actually it's best if he doesn't know. I mean, it's not that they have to lie, they can say it, but it doesn't matter. And this is another thing that I get a lot of controversy, because I get quite a few women contacting me, telling me that he is the problem.
Right.
He needs to work. He's the one not doing this. He's the one not doing that. And I said,
Mhm.
look, he may be the one with the problem. I don't know. That's not the way I work.
Okay.
The way I work is with us. Taking responsibility, taking a look at who we are being,
Mhm.
because our way of being is giving us our life. And when we transform, because I don't really even believe that there is anything wrong with these women. I don't think there was anything wrong with me. And believe me, I can tell you horror stories that I have been through. I mean, but we can talk in privately another day and I'll tell you. But believe me, when I tell you I have been through the ringer with men, what they haven't done to me before I did the work, up until my early 30s, when I was a professional doormat. I was a professional doormat, and I didn't have idea. I thought I was so strong. Come on. I moved out of a country with nothing, not knowing the language, $700 in my pocket, a piece of luggage. Who does that? Super badass. Yeah, right. So believe me, I have been through everything, and I have fought against my coaches like hell because it didn't make sense to me. Mostly being a Latina, Anyway, where I was going with this. Yes, so he doesn't have to know. Let's say you're married and you really, really love him. That's what you're telling me. You are with a guy that you really love and you want to do the work. Okay, if you contact me and you tell me that you want him to do the work, I will say, no, the work I do is with you. Why? It's because you are creating the relationship with him from your inside. So we need to work on you and get to know yourself, to know everything about yourself, to know your values, to know what you like, what you don't like, to grow up, to be mature in relationships, to take responsibility for your life. And then once we have clarity, we have healed our traumas, we have done the work, and we are ready, we are responsible. We are responsible in a relationship. We are not just reacting.
Right.
Then is when we can learn all the skills and the abilities that we don't learn when we are trapped in a very immature way of relating. We don't. It's just there is no space for that. We cannot see it. So that's what we do. And if you love the guy and he loves you and he's a great guy, and by that I mean he's not an addict, he's not abusive, either physically, verbally, emotionally, he's capable of staying faithful, he treats you well, he's a good guy, pretty much. So then with the switches she will make in her own attitude, in her inner life, and the teachings how to communicate, I want us to get what we want. Right. I don't want us to be cleaning the house and taking care of the kids and being overwhelmed. No, it's all the contrary. But there are ways of doing it and ways of asking things and ways of thinking that will get you there. And apparently, if they are hiding me, what they have been doing up until now, it's not working. Right. So, and when we change, when we transform, they, little by little, it doesn't happen overnight, because if we have been training the guy for 12 years, that we tell him what to do, what to eat, where to go, how to dress, when to take a shower, when to take the kids to school, when to clean the house, when to do this, blah, blah, blah. When we have been doing that for 12 years, he's going to be like, hello, let me, this doesn't, what's going on here? He's going to feel it. Sure. So, but you just keep being yourself. You keep being your authentic self, and you keep expressing your feelings. When he says something rude, you said, that feels bad. Instead of yelling or giving him the cold shoulder, stonewalling him, criticizing him, telling him what to do, giving him advice. You should say, that feels bad. If he's a
Okay.
good guy, he's gonna be, oh, I didn't mean it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Something that 100% of my clients, and I will keep saying myself because I don't want to give the idea that I had it perfect, because I think by now you guys know that I didn't have it perfect, but I will keep saying it. The day that I realized that a good man wants us happy. They want us happy.
Right.
They want to please us. They do. They will move mountains for us. They will, like they did at the beginning when we were in the courtship phase.
Mm-hmm.
They do. It's just that we get on our own way. And it's not because we are dumb. It's not because we are nothing. It's because we didn't know, we never learned how to be in a healthy relationship where we can be soft on the outside, inviting, gracious, feminine, nurturing, and have a backbone that won't break with nothing. Like, that's it. I'm overwhelmed.
Right.
I can't do the cleaning today. What can we do? I feel exhausted, honey. I want a break from the kids.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? I feel like a mess. I have been working nonstop for a month. I want a massage. What do you think? You don't need money for any of that. He can give you a massage. You don't need to go and pay to get a massage. You see? Completely different story. And he can hear us when we talk that way. He can not only hear us, he can see us.
Mm-hmm.
The other way is being a cactus. Okay? We are a cactus.
Mm-hmm.
We have prickles. A cactus doesn't need water.
Mm-hmm.
I live in the desert. Cactuses everywhere. A cactus doesn't even need dirt.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't need anything.
Okay. Well, I
Whatever
see where
it
you're
comes,
going. Yeah.
whatever it comes, we are like on the outside. But
Right.
on the inside, we're a mush.
Right. Okay. I see where you're going. Okay. I think I'm understanding what you're doing. How can people get in touch with you to get more information about what it is that you teach, Natalia?
I have a very active Instagram, and it's called Epic Love Coach. My handle, so they can go there and just contact me. I have a link on my bio where they can access to my YouTube channel. They can access to my calendar to book a call. They can access to, I even have a free resources. I have a newsletter that I send every week where really, if they just follow what I share on that newsletter, their love life will get turned around, because I don't leave anything. I put it all out there. I am about giving and giving and giving. I believe in giving, in generosity, and being of service. So if they just get on my email list, that will be extremely good for them. But that's a good way to start.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Natalia. It's been a really interesting conversation, and I'd love to have another chat with you about all of this. Find it quite fascinating.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I super, super appreciate it. And yes, I would love to talk with you anytime. I love to talk about this subject.
Great. Thanks so much. Have yourself a great evening.
Thank you. Should I leave now or should I stay?